The massive alien ship emerged from the swirling vortex above Earth, its sleek purple hull gleaming under the distant sun. Smaller vessels poured out around it like angry hornets from a disturbed nest. People around the world stared at their screens in shock as the enormous mothership positioned itself in high orbit. Commander Yoon stood on her command deck, tall and imposing with her blue-tinged skin and piercing silver eyes. She surveyed the blue planet below with cold calculation. This would be her 18th conquest for the galactic hegemony, and likely the easiest yet. The scan showed primitive technology, fossil fuel dependence, and nuclear weapons that hadn't advanced much in decades. Primitive, she muttered, turning to her second-in-command. Begin the standard approach. Broadcast the ultimatum on all their communication frequencies. Within minutes, every screen on Earth flickered to show Commander Yoon's face. People in living rooms, offices, and public squares fell silent as she spoke. People of Earth. I am Commander Yoon of the Galactic Hegemony. We have claimed this star system as our territory. Your planet has resources we require. You have two options. Surrender peacefully and become a protectorate under our rule, or face complete military action. You have 72 hours to respond. The transmission cut off, leaving billions in stunned silence. At the United Nations emergency session, chaos erupted. Representatives shouted over each other while military advisors delivered grim news. Our most powerful weapons couldn't even reach their ships in high orbit. We need more time, insisted the Secretary General, her voice barely maintaining calm. We must show them we're willing to negotiate while we prepare our defenses. In a secret facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Park wiped sweat from his brow as he studied the alien ship schematics captured by Earth's best telescopes. For 3 years, his team had been developing theoretical weapons based on quantum fluctuation theory, weapons deemed too unstable and dangerous for practical use. Now, they might be humanity's only hope. Look at the energy signature around their hull, Dr. Park said, pointing to strange patterns on his screen. His assistant leaned closer, squinting at the unusual readings. Those aren't just shields, Dr. Park continued. They're operating on principles similar to our quantum field theories, but they've perfected it. His eyes widened with sudden understanding, which means they might have the same vulnerabilities we discovered in our own prototypes. Back on the command ship, Yoon received Earth's response, a request for a meeting to discuss terms. She smiled thinly. It was always the same with these less advanced worlds, delay tactics while they scrambled for solutions. She would grant them their meeting, but the outcome was already decided. Prepare a landing party, she ordered. I want to see these humans, up close before we begin resource extraction. The world watched as a sleek alien shuttle descended toward the neutral meeting ground in Geneva. Military forces stood ready around the globe, but everyone knew the truth. If the aliens attacked now, Earth stood no chance. Dr. Park worked through the night, his team running simulation after simulation. The quantum disruptor was their only shot, but every test ended in failure. The device either had no effect or became dangerously unstable. What if we're approaching this wrong? Dr. Park mumbled, staring at his failed results. We're trying to overpower their shields, but maybe. His voice trailed off as he started frantically typing new equations. In Geneva, world leaders sat across from Commander Yoon and her delegation. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Your weapons are primitive. Your technology is centuries behind ours, Yoon stated flatly. The hegemony has conquered 17 worlds before yours. All chose surrender in the end, though some wasted lives trying to resist. We understand your technological advantage, replied the Chinese president carefully. But perhaps we could demonstrate our capabilities? To show we might be valuable partners rather than just subjects? Yoon's lips curled into what might have been a smile. You wish to show me your weapons? Very well. A demonstration would be amusing. The world leaders exchanged glances. The trap was set. Later that day, as Commander Yoon's shuttle returned to orbit, she received word that Earth requested a weapons demonstration on the far side of the moon, away from population centers. Let them show us their toys, she laughed to her officers. It will make the conquest all the sweeter when they realize how hopeless their situation truly is. What she didn't know was that Dr. Park had finally had his breakthrough. As Earth prepared its demonstration of conventional missiles, his team secretly loaded a single, unassuming projectile with their quantum disruptor prototype. All we need is for her to believe it's harmless, Dr. Park told the military general overseeing the operation. If she lets it hit her shields without taking evasive action, we might have a chance. As the world held its breath, the fate of humanity rested on whether an overconfident alien commander would fall for the oldest trick in the book, underestimating your enemy. The world watched as the alien shuttle soared high above the Swiss Alps, leaving Geneva behind. Inside the craft, Commander Une leaned back in her sleek command chair, a faint smile playing on her blue-tinged lips. So they want a demonstration, she said to her second-in-command. How quaint. Her officer nodded. The demonstration site is prepared on the far side of their moon. They're launching in 1 hour. Inform the fleet to prepare visual recording. I want all 17 systems we've conquered to witness how pathetic Earth's weapons truly are. Her silver eyes gleamed with anticipation. This will be the easiest conquest yet. Back on Earth, every television and digital screen broadcast the same countdown. People gathered in homes and public squares, hoping against hope that humanity's best weapons might show some effect against the alien shields. In the underground Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Park hunched over his workstation, surrounded by military, personnel, and fellow scientists. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the cool air. The quantum disruptor is ready, he said, glancing at General Kim. We've disguised it within a conventional missile casing. It looks completely ordinary. The general nodded grimly. Commander Une must believe it's just another pathetic human weapon. If she takes evasive action, we lose our only chance. She won't, Dr. Park said confidently. Her arrogance is our advantage. The energy readings we captured during her landing show a blind spot in the shield harmonics. If she lets our missile hit directly, if, the general interrupted, a very big if. On the moon's dark side, Earth's most advanced missiles stood ready on mobile launchers. Military commanders from every major nation huddled in the command bunker, tension thick in the recycled air. 30 minutes to launch, announced the mission controller. High above, Commander Une's fleet moved into position to observe. Her scout ship descended to a lower orbit, shields shimmering with a faint purple glow. Their primitive sensors are scanning us, reported her tactical officer. Une waved dismissively. Let them. They'll learn nothing useful. The scout ship's sensors picked up unusual energy readings from one of Earth's missiles, but the technician dismissed it as harmless radiation leakage from their crude nuclear propulsion. On Earth, Dr. Park noticed the scan and held his breath. They're examining the quantum disruptor. If they realize what it is, his assistant squeezed his shoulder. The casing should mask the signature. They won't know. 20 minutes passed in agonizing slowness. Then the countdown began in earnest. 10, 9, 8. People around the world held hands, prayed, or simply watched in silence. 3, 2, 1. Launch. The missiles erupted from the lunar surface, white plumes trailing behind them as they arced toward the alien scout ship. Among them, looking no different from the others, was Dr. Park's quantum disruptor. In her command chair, Une watched the approaching missiles with amusement. Such primitive propulsion, I can see the combustion exhaust. Should we take evasive action? Asked her pilot. Une laughed, the sound transmitted to Earth's leaders. Why bother? Let them hit us. Let them see how utterly futile their weapons are. On screens worldwide, people watched as the missiles approached the purple shield. The first missiles struck and detonated harmlessly, their nuclear fire blooming against the barrier like fireworks against glass. As expected, Une's voice echoed through Earth's command centers. Your weapons are... Then the quantum disruptor hit. For a breathless moment, nothing happened. The missile seemed to disappear against the shield without effect. Une was in mid-laugh when her tactical officer shouted, Commander, shield harmonics. Destabilizing. Yoon's laughter died in her throat as she stared at the readout. Tiny fractures, invisible to the naked eye but clear on her instruments, spread across her ship's protective field like cracks in thin ice. Impossible, she whispered. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Park and his team erupted in cheers as their instruments showed the quantum fluctuations taking effect. It's working. The shield's molecular structure is destabilizing. Around the world, people watched in confusion. Nothing seemed to be happening on their screens. The alien ship still floated unharmed, its purple shield intact. But inside the scout ship, alarms blared as systems failed. The shield generators overheated, struggling to maintain coherence as the quantum disruptor's effects cascaded through their field matrices. "Shields failing," shouted the tactical officer. 20%, 15, dropping rapidly. Yoon's face contorted with rage and disbelief. How? Their technology is primitive. They don't even have interstellar travel. On Earth, the Chinese president turned to his advisors. Are we seeing what they're seeing? Has our weapon had any effect? As if in answer, the purple glow surrounding the alien scout ship flickered and dimmed on everyone's screens. A collective gasp rose from billions of throats. In Geneva, world leaders rushed to capitalize on the moment. The American president grabbed a secure line. Launch the second wave. Now, while they're vulnerable, from hidden silos across Earth, a new volley of missiles launched toward the moon. These weren't experimental. They were humanity's most powerful conventional weapons, held in reserve for this moment. Commander Yoon stared in horror as her shield failed completely, leaving her scout ship exposed. Return to the fleet, maximum speed, but it was too late. The second wave of Earth missiles approached rapidly, and this time there was no protective barrier. The first impact rocked the scout ship violently, sending Yoon crashing to the floor. Emergency lights flashed as hull breaches triggered automatic containment fields. This is impossible, she gasped, struggling to her feet. 17 systems. Conquered. How could these primitives? The second missile struck, and the scout ship began breaking apart. On Earth, people watched in stunned silence as the alien vessel exploded in a brilliant flash. Then, as realization dawned, cheers erupted across the planet. In the underground facility, Dr. Park wept with relief and amazement. We did it, he whispered. We actually did it. But high above, Commander Yoon's main fleet remained intact, and her face, now displayed on all her ship's command screens, was twisted with a fury no human had ever witnessed before. Prepare all weapons, she ordered, her voice deadly calm. The demonstration is over. The mountain facility buzzed with activity as engineers and scientists worked around the clock. Deep beneath layers of rock and reinforced concrete, Dr. Park hadn't slept in 36 hours. His eyes were red-rimmed, his normally neat hair standing on end from running his hands through it repeatedly. The destruction of Commander Yoon's scout ship had bought Earth precious time, but the alien mothership still loomed in orbit, its weapons primed and ready. We got lucky once, General Kim said, setting down a cup of coffee next to Dr. Park's keyboard. But the main fleet is another matter entirely. Dr. Park nodded wearily. The quantum disruptor worked better than we hoped, but it was basically a prototype, a proof of concept. To take on Yoon's mothership, we need something much more powerful. Around them, the secret Antarctic research facility hummed with desperate energy. Ever since the failed demonstration, failed for the aliens, successful for humanity, world governments had poured every available resource into Dr. Park's project. Equipment and specialists arrived hourly via unmarked transport planes. The facility, originally designed to house 50 researchers, now held over 200. Look at this, Dr. Park said, pointing to his screen where complex energy wave patterns pulsed and shifted. These are the readings we captured when the scout ship's shields collapsed. See these unusual harmonics? They suggest the main fleet's shields operate on the same basic principle, just at a much larger scale. A young physicist leaned over his shoulder. So theoretically, the same approach should work? Theoretically, Dr. Park emphasized, reaching for the coffee. But we'd need at least 20 times the power output. The energy requirements alone would what? pressed General Kim. Dr. Park rubbed his eyes. Would exceed anything we've ever built before. We'd need to harness the output of a small nuclear plant, somehow miniaturize it and deliver it directly to the alien mothership without being detected. The room fell silent as the enormity of the challenge sank in. How long? Asked the general. Finally, Dr. Park looked up, his expression grim. Under normal circumstances? Years, maybe decades. We have days, maybe hours if Commander Yoon decides to attack. Dr. Park nodded slowly. Then we need to think differently. Very differently. Halfway across the world, Commander Yoon stood before her fleet captains, her silver eyes cold with fury. The holographic images of 17 alien officers stood at attention, awaiting her orders. The humans have demonstrated unexpected resourcefulness, she said, her voice icy. They have destroyed one of our vessels and killed its crew. This cannot stand. Commander, ventured one of the officers cautiously, perhaps we should analyze how they penetrated our shields before we... Are you suggesting delay? Yoon cut him off sharply. The officer lowered his eyes. No, Commander. Only caution. Yoon turned away dismissively. Prepare a full invasion force. We strike in 3 planetary rotations. That should give us time to analyze their weapon and adapt our shields. As the officer's holograms winked out, Yoon gazed through the view screen at the blue planet below. For the first time in her conquering career, she felt a flicker of uncertainty. Back at the Antarctic facility, Dr. Park stood before a whiteboard covered in equations and diagrams. Scientists from a dozen countries argued in multiple languages, each defending their approach to the shield problem. We need to focus. Dr. Park shouted over the din. We know the quantum disruptor works. We just need to scale it up. With what power source? Demanded a Russian physicist. Nothing on Earth can generate the energy required in a package small enough to deliver. Dr. Park's assistant burst into the room, waving a tablet. I think we have something. The analysis of the scout ship debris. There's unusual radiation consistent with an antimatter power source. The room fell silent again, but this time with a different energy. Antimatter? Dr. Park grabbed the tablet, scanning the data. If they're using antimatter for power generation, then we might be able to use their own technology against them, finished the Russian physicist, his eyes widening. Dr. Park turned to General Kim. We need the wreckage from the scout ship, all of it. Now. Within hours, military transports were delivering charred alien technology to the facility. Engineers and scientists worked in shifts, carefully extracting components from the debris. Dr. Park barely moved from his workstation, analyzing each piece as it arrived. Here, he exclaimed finally, holding up a damaged but recognizable device. This is part of their power regulation system. If we can reverse engineer this... The next 48 hours passed in a blur of activity. Sleep was a luxury no one could afford. Meals were consumed at workstations. The quantum disruptor underwent radical redesign as they incorporated salvaged alien technology. Dr. Park stood in the testing chamber, staring at the device they'd created. It was ugly, a hybrid of Earth technology and alien components jury-rigged together, but according to their calculations, it would work. We're ready for the power test, announced the lead engineer. Everyone donned protective gear as the device was connected to their backup generators. If their calculations were correct, the alien technology would amplify the power input exponentially. Starting at 10%, called out the engineer, slowly turning a dial. The device hummed, alien components glowing with an eerie purple light. 20%, 30%. Warning lights flashed as the power draw spiked unexpectedly. Holding steady at 40%, reported the engineer. Power output is... My God. Dr. Park looked at the readings and felt a surge of hope for the first time in days. It's working. The alien tech is amplifying our power input by a factor of 15. Cheers erupted around the room, but Dr. Park raised his hand for silence. This is just the beginning, he cautioned. We still need to weaponize it, make it deliverable, and figure out how to get it past the alien fleet's defenses. As if on cue, General Kim entered, his face grave. "We just intercepted communications from the alien fleet. They're preparing to attack. We have less than 24 hours. Dr. Park looked at the hybrid device, then at the tired faces around him. "Then we work faster," he said simply. "Everyone back to your stations. We've come too far to fail now." As the team dispersed with renewed purpose, Dr. Park allowed himself one brief moment of doubt. They were gambling everything on this desperate plan, a plan cobbled together from alien scraps and human determination. If it failed, there would be no second chance for Earth. But looking at the determination on the faces around him, Dr. Park pushed the doubt aside. Humanity had surprised Commander Yoon once already. Perhaps they could do it again. And this time, decisively. The vast mothership hung in space like a dark cloud over Earth, its surface rippling with purple energy as Commander Yoon prepared for the final assault. On the command deck, officers moved with practiced efficiency, readying weapons that had brought 17 other worlds to their knees. Yoon stood with her hands clasped behind her back, silver eyes fixed on the view screen showing the blue planet below. "Pitiful," she murmured. "One lucky strike and they think they can stand against us." Her tactical officer approached cautiously. "Commander, our analysis of the human weapon is complete. It appears they've discovered a way to create quantum fluctuations that temporarily disrupt our shield harmonics. Have you adjusted our shields accordingly?" "Yes, Commander. We've modified the frequency patterns. The same weapon will have no effect now." Yoon's mouth curved into a cold smile. "Excellent. Begin the attack sequence. Target their major population centers first." Across the command deck, alien officers activated glowing control panels. The enormous ship began to descend toward Earth, its weapon systems powering up with an ominous hum. Behind it, the rest of the fleet moved into attack formation, their shields shimmering in unison. Meanwhile, in the cramped cockpit of Earth's most advanced stealth shuttle, 4 nervous pilots checked their instruments one final time. The shuttle had been painted with experimental light-absorbing material, making it nearly invisible against the blackness of space. Its engines had been modified to produce minimal thermal signature. It was humanity's best attempt at an undetectable spacecraft, and their only hope of getting close enough to deliver Dr. Park's weapon. "Oxygen levels optimal," reported the pilot, her voice steady despite the fear they all felt. "Stealth systems functioning at 98%. "That'll have to do," replied the mission commander, tapping his console. "Antarctic base, this is Phantom. We are go for launch. Repeat, we are go for launch." Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Park stood in the control room, surrounded by military officials and scientists from around the world. When the confirmation came through, he closed his eyes briefly in silent prayer. "Godspeed," he whispered, then turned to the others. "Phantom is launching. Now we wait." The stealth shuttle rose silently from its hidden hangar, accelerating rapidly into the upper atmosphere. Inside, the 4 crew members were pressed back into their seats by the G-forces. Nobody spoke. They all knew the stakes. If they were detected, there would be no second chance. As they broke through into space, the pilot cut the main engines and switched to the ion thrusters, which provided minimal thrust but were virtually undetectable. The shuttle began its long, slow approach toward the alien mothership. In the cargo hold sat Dr. Park's creation, the enhanced quantum disruptor. Unlike the first prototype, this version incorporated salvaged alien technology, giving it exponentially more power. It looked strange, a hybrid of human and alien design with glowing purple components wired into Earth technology, but according to all their simulations, it would work, if they could get close enough to use it. Hours passed as the shuttle crept toward its target. On Earth, people huddled in makeshift shelters or evacuation centers, watching the skies fearfully. Many prayed, some wrote farewell letters to loved ones. A strange calm had settled over the planet, the calm of acceptance mixed with desperate hope. In the Antarctic base, Dr. Park paced nervously, checking and rechecking the data. "They should be nearing the minimum safe distance now," he said, more to himself than anyone else. On the mothership, Commander Yoon gave the final order. Begin the atmospheric approach. Prepare to fire on my command. Just as the massive ship began to move, a junior sensor officer frowned at his console. Commander, I'm detecting an anomalous reading, very faint, possibly instrument error. Location? Yoon snapped. Portside near the secondary shield generator, but it's gone now. Likely nothing. Yoon hesitated, years of combat experience making her cautious. Run a full spectrum scan, better to be certain. Inside the stealth shuttle, alarms suddenly blared. They're scanning us, shouted the tactical officer. Full spectrum sweep. Have they detected us? Demanded the commander. Uncertain, but we need to move now if we're going to deliver the package. The commander made a split-second decision. Full power to engines. Get us to the drop point. The shuttle's engines roared to life, abandoning stealth for speed. On the EOA mothership, the sensor officer jumped to his feet. Confirmed contact, small craft human design approaching rapidly. Destroy it, ordered Yoon. But there was something in her voice that hadn't been there before. A note of fear. The mothership's weapons system swiveled to target the approaching shuttle, but it was moving erratically, making it difficult to lock on. Energy. Beams sliced through space, missing the nimble craft by meters. We're not going to make it to the ideal drop point, the shuttle pilot shouted over the alarms. Shields are failing. Get us as close as you can, replied the commander. Prepare to deploy the disruptor. An energy beam grazed the shuttle's wing, sending it spinning. Warning lights flashed across every console as systems failed. Now, drop it now. The cargo bay doors opened, and Dr. Park's creation tumbled out toward the mothership. It was too far, not at the optimal position they had planned for, but it was their only chance. On the Antarctic base's monitors, Dr. Park watched helplessly as the stealth shuttle exploded in a ball of fire. But before it did, their sensors had confirmed. The disruptor had been deployed. Did it work? Asked General Kim. Was it close enough? Dr. Park stared at the data, calculating rapidly. I don't know. It's at the very edge of the effective range. All we can do now is, one of the scientists interrupted, pointing at another monitor. Look. The view from orbital telescopes showed the quantum disruptor drifting toward the mothership. It looked tiny and insignificant against the enormous alien vessel. Commander Yoon, seeing the small device approach on her view screens, actually laughed. This is their secret weapon? This tiny thing? She turned to her weapons officer. Destroy it. Yes, Commander. But before the weapons could fire, the disruptor activated. There was no explosion, no flash of light, just a subtle ripple that spread across the mothership's shields. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Commander Yoon smiled triumphantly. As I thought, their weapon is useless against our modified shields. Proceed with the attack. Then the alarms began. Shield harmonics destabilizing, shouted her tactical officer. The disruption is spreading throughout the entire shield matrix. Impossible. Yoon rushed to the console, shoving the officer aside. We adjusted for their weapon. This is different, the officer replied, fear evident in his voice. The quantum signature is amplified. It's using our own shield energy against us. On Earth, Dr. Park watched in amazement as the purple glow surrounding the mothership began to flicker and fade. It's working, he whispered, then louder. It's working. The alien components we salvaged, they're creating a feedback loop in their shield systems. Around the world, people watched as the seemingly invincible alien shields failed. The mothership hung exposed in orbit, suddenly vulnerable. Without hesitation, Earth's military launched everything they had: missiles, orbital defense platforms, even experimental energy weapons that had never been tested in combat. In her command center, Commander Yoon watched in horror as her ship's defenses crumbled. For the first time in her long career of conquest, she felt something unfamiliar. Defeat. Retreat, she ordered, her voice hollow. Signal the fleet to retreat. But it was too late. Earth's weapons found their mark, and the mighty mothership that had conquered 17 worlds began to break apart. Thick black smoke billowed from the alien mothership as it listed in Earth's orbit. Explosions rippled across its purple hull, once seamless metal now torn open like paper. Inside the command center, emergency lights bathed Commander Yoon's face in an eerie red glow as she gripped her control panel to stay upright. "Damage report," she shouted over the blaring alarms. Her tactical officer, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead, shook his head. "Critical systems failing across all decks. Shields completely offline. Weapons at 12% capacity." "The fleet?" "Most. Vessels are retreating to the jump point. 3 destroyed." Yoon slammed her fist against the panel. "This is impossible. They're primitives." Another explosion rocked the ship, sending crew members tumbling across the deck. Support beams crashed down from the ceiling, crushing alien technology and personnel alike. "Engine core destabilizing," reported the engineering officer, voice trembling. "Containment failing. We have minutes at most." Yoon straightened her back, silver eyes narrowing as she made her decision. "Prepare my personal transport. Signal the fleet to continue retreat." "Commander?" The tactical officer looked up in shock. "You're abandoning ship?" "I'm not abandoning anything," she hissed. "This battle is lost, but the war is not over. The galactic hegemony does not accept defeat." On Earth, crowds gathered in streets and public squares, watching the sky where the alien mothership burned like a new star. Military communications, normally classified, were being broadcast globally, so everyone could witness humanity's moment of triumph. "Multiple escape pods detected," announced a voice over the broadcasts. "One larger vessel appears to be heading directly toward Earth." In the Antarctic base, Dr. Park had finally allowed himself to sit down after days of standing, working, and pacing. His body ached with exhaustion, but his mind remained sharp as he studied the incoming data. "That's not an escape pod," he said, pointing to the screen. "That's a command shuttle, and based on the energy signature," he looked up at General Kim. "I think Commander Yoon is on it." The general immediately grabbed his secure phone. "Track that shuttle. All available interceptors engage." But the alien craft was too fast, too maneuverable. Despite Earth's best efforts, it streaked through the atmosphere, evading missiles and fighter jets with technology still far beyond human capabilities. "It's coming here," Dr. Park realized suddenly. "It's heading straight for this base." The general barked orders, and moments later alarm sirens wailed throughout the facility. Security teams rushed to defensive positions while scientists hurriedly backed up data and grabbed essential equipment. "You need to evacuate," the general told Dr. Park. "You're too valuable to lose." Dr. Park shook his head firmly. "This is my project. If Yoon is coming for anyone, she's coming for me." Outside, the Antarctic sky darkened as Commander Yoon's shuttle descended through the clouds. Defense systems fired automatically, but energy beams from the shuttle sliced through them like butter. The craft landed less than a kilometer from the hidden entrance to the base, snow melting in a wide circle around it from its still hot engines. Inside the facility, security footage showed a single figure emerging from the shuttle. "Commander." Yoon stood tall in her battle armor, no longer the confident conqueror, but still proud, still dangerous. She carried a weapon that hummed with purple energy. "Seal all bulkheads," ordered the general. "Initiate lockdown protocols." But Yoon seemed to know exactly where she was going. Her weapon cut through the outer doors easily, and she moved through the facility with purpose, disabling security teams with precise, non-lethal shots. "She's not trying to kill," observed Dr. Park. "She wants something." "Or someone," replied the general grimly. When the inner lab doors exploded inward, nobody was surprised to see Commander Yoon step through the smoke. What did surprise them was her appearance. Up close, without the distortion of view screens, she looked almost human, except for her silver eyes and the faint blue tint to her skin. "Dr. Park," she said, her voice oddly calm. "We meet at last." Security teams had their weapons trained on her, but she paid them no attention. Her focus was entirely on the scientist who had brought down her ship. "How did you do it?" she asked. "How did a species that hasn't even colonized its own solar system defeat shield technology that has protected my people for centuries?" Doctor, Park looked directly into her silver eyes. We understood something you didn't. And what was that? That arrogance is the greatest weakness of all. For a moment, fury flashed across Yoon's face. Then, surprisingly, she laughed, a short, sharp sound without humor. You reversed our own technology against us, used our power source to amplify your primitive weapon. She nodded slowly. Clever, very clever. We had no choice, replied Dr. Park. You gave us none. Yoon lowered her weapon slightly. 17 systems I've conquered. 17 species who surrendered rather than face extinction. None ever damaged my ship, let alone destroyed it. We're different, said Dr. Park simply. Yes, agreed Yoon. You are. Without warning, she tossed a small device onto the floor. Before anyone could react, it projected a holographic star map into the air between them, with hundreds of glowing points of light. The galactic hegemony controls all of these systems, she said. My ship was just one of thousands. When they learn what happened here, they will come. And they will not underestimate you as I did. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth had won a battle, but the war might be just beginning. Then why are you showing us this? Asked the general. Because you've earned something no other species has. Respect. Yoon's silver eyes scanned the room. And a choice. Dr. Park stepped forward. What choice? Prepare to face the hegemony when they come, or accept my offer. Which is? Alliance. The word hung in the air between them. My ship is destroyed, but my knowledge remains. Shield technology, weapons, faster than light travel. I can give you all of it. Why would you betray your own people? Asked the general suspiciously. Yoon's expression hardened. The hegemony is not my people. I was born on a conquered world, raised to serve as their weapon against others. I've done terrible things in their name. She looked at the holographic stars. Perhaps it's time someone stood against them. Dr. Park and the general exchanged glances. Could they trust her? Was this another trick? You don't need to decide now, said Yoon, seeming to read their thoughts. But decide you must, and soon. The hegemony will detect the loss of my ship, and they will send others. And if we refuse your offer? Asked Dr. Park. Yoon shrugged slightly. Then I become your prisoner, and you face what comes alone. But remember, you beat one ship through ingenuity and luck. The next fleet won't underestimate human weapons. As if to emphasize her point, the hologram zoomed out, showing hundreds more stars, all connected in the vast network of the hegemony. The standoff lasted several tense minutes before Dr. Park finally spoke. We'll need time to discuss your offer, with all of Earth's nations. Yoon nodded. Of course. Unity is your strength. I've learned that much. She deactivated her weapon completely, letting it hang at her side. I surrender myself to your custody, while you decide. As security personnel cautiously approached to escort her away, Yoon looked back at Dr. Park one last time. You know what decision they'll make, she said quietly. In the face of what's coming, there's really only one choice. Dr. Park didn't respond, but deep down, he knew she was right. Earth had won this battle through determination and a bit of luck, but the stars were filled with dangers they couldn't begin to imagine. Perhaps their greatest weapon against what was coming wouldn't be quantum disruptors or alien technology, but something even more powerful, an enemy turned ally, who had learned the hard way never to underestimate humanity. As Commander Yoon was led away, news of her capture spread across the planet. People celebrated in streets worldwide, not fully understanding that this wasn't the end of something, but the beginning. The stars suddenly seemed much closer and much more dangerous than ever before.